All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. To the Ma'ah, Arabayim, Arabai, Alap, that's to say 144,000 in the Paleo Hebrew. Shalom to you. All right, brothers are striving to be of that number. All right, striving lawfully. Shalom. So, this lesson, I want to get into uh, Genesis 11, dealing with, our language. Now, the language that we spoke prior to, coming here to the Americas, pretty much being taken over by the Edomites. All right. Being that we got taken over by Esau, Edom, we had our language, forced out of us, beaten out of us. All right. The Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latinos, and the natives and the Seminoles here in America, in the Americas, they spoke a form of Hebrew, okay? But that was taken away from them upon Esau's arrival, all right, to the Western Hemisphere. And same thing with so-called Negroes, all right? When we were taken from West Africa and brought here to the Americas, North America in particular, to serve slavery, we had our language beat out of us, okay? But one thing I was thinking yesterday, I went on a run yesterday, and there were two Japhites. Could have been Vietnamese or I don't believe they were Filipino, but Vietnamese or Laos or something. But they were doing some stone work on some. I believe she might be Vietnamese as well. Some woman's house, some older woman that lives, around the corner from myself. Just observing things as as I'm go to my run. I'm walking to where the little trail starts or whatever, and all I hear is on the way there and on the way back. Before I started my run, I had to walk past them, and then when I ended my run and was walking back home, I walked past them, and both times, all I could hear was they were talking, doing their little stonework, and they were talking in their language, and it just sounded ridiculous, man. It sounded crazy. It just makes you want to just if you had the power to just fucking send them to the spirit world, you know. They were sounding all crazy. Some crazy, brothers know how them Japhites be sounding. And it sounded so stupid, man. And I just got to thinking, like, man, that's part of why the earth needs to be refreshed. The energy in the earth is off. All right. It is satanic vibes everywhere in the world. Everything is dying. The earth is dying. All right. People are unhealthy, and people's minds is all messed up, and propaganda and brainwashing is at an all-time high. Just everything is just jacked up, man. And one of the things that's most jacked up is these heathen. All right, they're just completely on the left hand side. All right, which is why once again the earth needs to be refreshed, man. So I got to thinking about in the kingdom, everybody's gonna speak Hebrew. All right, the Lashawan Kodash. Everyone's gonna speak Hebrew, and it's a more masculine language. It's a more elegant, pure language. All right, that when you hear the heathen talk, it just sounds like, oh my goodness, man. I don't care what you saying. Shut up. So getting to it. It's 4:41 right now. Getting to it. This is Genesis 11, in verse 1. As you see in the heading, it says universal language, Babel, confusion. All right, it says, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. All right, so that one language being Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash. Okay, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Okay, so it says that they journeyed from the east. All right, hold on real quick. Let me I want to look at something. All right, so this is after the flood, right? Okay, so you see in the heading it says the flood subsides. Okay, the flood, Genesis 7, the flood. The flood subsides up at the top on the left. Okay, covenant of the rainbow. All right, descendants of Noah. All right, universal language, Babel, confusion. Now this is after the flood. Okay, and we know that according to the scriptures, the ark rested or landed or pretty much settled on top of Mount Ararat, which is in modern day Turkey. Okay. Matter of fact, let me do something real quick. Let me see where it let's see. So like let me trying to see where if it actually mentions Mount Ararat in the scriptures. Let me do it like this. All right. So like it. Bear with me. All right, Salaki, I had to pause the video for a second. So here we see, okay, Genesis 8 and 4. It says, and the ark rested on the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. All right. Now, Ararat is in modern day Turkey. So, Ararat. Ararat. Okay, and that's H780. It says the curse reversed. Precipitation of curse. It says the mountainous region of eastern Armenia, between the river Arxes and the lakes Van and Oromia, the site where Noah's Ark came to rest. All right, the mountains where Noah's Ark came to rest. So what I want to do is copy that. Then I'm going to go here. Do this, do that. Bam, bam. All right, so look. Here's the land of Israel here. Okay. You got Lebanon. You got Syria. Little geography lesson for you. All right, so this is Armenia. Okay. This right here, this big landmass is Iran. So Mount Ararat, right here in the northeastern part of Turkey, is where Noah's Ark, where it landed. Okay, so that's where the ark is today. Now, the reason why I went through all that is because this region here, starting with Israel, the apostles are always going to it. You got the Fertile Crescent. All right, so this path I'm about to show you is the Fertile Crescent. All right, Jerusalem, Lebanon, all this green by this coast, by the water. All right, up into Syria. All right, up into the regions of Turkey. All right, and then it swings around, into this region here, Tehran, Iran. Okay, all this that was known as the Fertile Crescent. Now, going back to Genesis 11, verse 2, it says, "And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there." Okay, so they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in Shinar. So, once again, right here, this is where Noah's Ark was. So after the flood, you had Ham, Shem, and Japheth that was, and their descendants. They weren't just stationary; they were moving around. Okay, and it mentioned the plains of Shinar, right? So Shinar, it says that they journeyed from. So the east is this region over here, but they migrated from this region to Shinar, which is here, okay, which is in modern day Iraq, which is part of that Fertile Crescent, okay, and this is where this is Babylon, ancient Babylon, all right, is in modern day Iraq, okay, so this is where they journeyed. Just want to bring that out, edify on that. So verse 3, it says, "And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar." Okay. It says, "And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And Yahweh said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." All right. So at this time, Hebrew was the language in the earth, but the Lord wanted to confound that, so that way, people's, couldn't communicate like that. Okay, because the intent that they have for communication was all predicated on doing something wicked. All right, in case building this the Tower of Babel. All right, it says so Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Okay, therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Okay, so here is where language was confounded, or people's language was confounded, the nations, and they left off from building the Tower of Babel, and the Lord scattered them throughout all this region. Okay. now let me grab Isaiah 19 and verse 18. It says, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan and swear to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai of hosts. One shall be called the city of destruction. All right. Now, in the NLT, it says, in that day 5 of Egypt's cities will follow Yahweh of heaven's armies. They will even begin to speak Hebrew. All right. Now, this Egypt here is talking about modern day America. And over the years since this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding has been pretty much resurrected in the earth, and that seed of understanding given to the sons of Yasha, okay, by way of prophecy, by way of the Great Awakening, so to say. You have many brothers in America that now speak Hebrew. It might not be fluent, but brothers, know certain words, all right, certain phrases, and there's brothers that actually are could hold a whole conversation in the Paleo Hebrew. Okay, so continuing in NLT verse 18, it says they will even begin to speak Hebrew, the language of Canaan. One of these cities will be Heliopolis, the city of the sun. Okay, now if I'm not mistaken, there was something I seen dealing with Heliopolis in Washington D.C. If I'm not mistaken, it was it might be some obelisk or something like that that they have resurrected for in commemoration of Heliopolis or something like that. I can't remember. Let me see. Hold on. Bear with me just a second. All right. Shalom, I had to look this up real quick. So, as you see here from an AI overview, it says the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. is a well-known example of a modern obelisk. Inspired by ancient Egyptian monuments, it stands 555 feet tall and was built to honor George Washington. While it's not a specific Heliopolis obelisk, it shares the form and symbolic meaning of ancient Egyptian obelisks, which were often associated with the sun god Re and Heliopolis. Okay, so there you go. And this right here is an actual one in I believe this is in Egypt. Okay, Al Mashallah obelisk, the largest surviving monument from Heliopolis. Okay, so once again, let me read this in Isaiah 19:18. It says, in that day 5 of Egypt's cities will follow Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai of heaven's armies. All right. So here in America, which is modern day Egypt, spiritual Egypt. All right. America is spiritual, is Egypt spiritually, excuse me. You have Akim that are following Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai. Okay. To the point that continuing, it says they will even begin to speak Hebrew. All right, so we follow Yahweh Bashem Yahushua to the point that brothers actually speak Hebrew. Pray, call upon the names, so on and so forth. Okay, the language of Canaan. One of these cities will be Heliopolis, the city of the sun. All right, now showing you that this is America. You have once again, you have obelisks, set up in Washington, D.C., all right, to commemorate, George Washington, but that inspiration came from actual Egypt itself. Okay. which is paying homage or tribute to the sun god Re and Heliopolis. Okay, let's look this word up. Yeah, I knew probably wasn't gonna do that. Let's do this. Okay, Heliopolis meaning city of the sun. Helio. All right. Um, in Greek was a major ancient city, Egyptian city, and the center of worship for the sun god Ra, Re, or also known as Ra. It was located north of Cairo and was a significant religious, philosophical, and theological center. Okay, so city of the sun is what that means. All right, so now I want to get this. All right, this is from a Deep Seek. I typed in what is the language of Canaan in the Bible. It says the language of Canaan mentioned in the Bible, specifically in Isaiah 19 and 18, refers to the group of closely related Northwest Semitic languages spoken in the ancient Levant. All right, Levant, or the Fertile Crescent. Primarily by the Canaanites and Israelites. Here's a detailed breakdown. All right, definition and biblical context. The term appears in Isaiah 19:18, where the prophecies that 5 Egyptian cities will adopt the language of Canaan and worship Yahweh. This symbolizes a cultural and religious shift toward Hebrew/Canaanite influence. The Bible implies that Hebrew and other Canaanite dialects, example given Phoenician, Moabite, were mutually intelligible, forming a linguistic continuum in the region. Okay, linguistic classification. The Canaanite language belonged to the Northwest Semitic branch of the Afro-Asiatic family, alongside Aramaic and Ugaritic. Key dialects include Hebrew, Phoenician, Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite. Okay, now the Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Edomites are all Shemites and spoke Hebrew. Okay. So for the Hebrew, it says the language of the Israelites revived as modern Hebrew today. All right, which that's Yiddish, what them gutter rats speak. Phoenician/Punic, spoken in coastal cities like Tyre and Zidon, later spreading to Carthage. Moabite, Ammonite, Edomite, attested in inscriptions. Example given the Mesha Stele for Moabite. All right, which brothers know about that, the Moabite stone, because even in the Mesha Stele it mentions King David, and that Moabite stone was actually written in Hebrew. Okay, and closely related to Hebrew. It says these languages uh, shared features like the Canaanite shift, which that's going into something else, but that pretty much there's more to it, but that serves the point. Now, so we know that the language of Canaan is the Paleo Hebrew. All right. Now, what I want to do is grab Zephaniah 3, and I'm going to start here at 8. It says, therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Okay? So the Lord is in the process of gathering up all these nations to get them ready for receiving judgment. Okay? And And we see that happening by way of, World War III. It says, for then will I turn to the people a pure language. All right. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, which is a Hebrew, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. All right. Now, after the destruction takes place, all right, and we get this earth situated, Hebrew, the Lashawan Kwadash, all right, the Paleo Hebrew is going to be forced upon all these nations. Everyone's going to have to learn how to speak the Lashawan Kwadash. It's not going to be any other language being spoken, all right, in the earth after a period of time. Okay, it says, verse 9 in the NLT, it says, then I will purify the speech of all people. And the purest speech is the Hebrew, the Lashawan Kwadash, okay? So that everyone can worship Yahweh together. Meaning, as the scriptures say, the nation of Israel, the men, we're going to be a nation of kings and priests. So we're going to have to officiate the office of priests on behalf of, making sure these nations are doing the right thing and worshiping Yahweh Shem Yahushai as they're supposed to. All right. And the best way to do that is to have everybody on one accord with one language. All right. The same way Esau forced whatever tribe of Edomites conquered whatever tribe of Israelites, you took their language on. So, for instance, the English taking over, so-called Negroes. That's why Negroes speak English, because we got conquered by the English. Okay. The so-called Latinos, they speak Spanish because you had the Spaniards that conquered them and forced their language upon them. Okay. And so on and so forth. So in the kingdom of heaven, being that all 12 tribes are going to be speaking Hebrew flawlessly, it's only right that we make our subjects speak our language as well. All right. And that's what the scripture is saying. Verse 10, let me see. Well, actually, that's pretty much the point on that. All right. Now let me grab. What's that in the? Here we go. Acts 26 and verse 14. Let me see. Start at 12. It says, whereupon, as I went to Damascus with authority and commission from the chief priests, midday, and this is the Apostle Paul, all right, going into his conversion. O King, I saw in the way a light from heaven above the brightness of the sun shining round about me and them which journeyed with me. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, all right, the Lashawan Kodash, the Hebrew, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And I said, who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahushai whom thou persecutest. Okay, so let me read verse 14 in the NLT. It says, we all fell down, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? It is useless for you to fight against my will. Okay, because the Aramaic and the Hebrew are similar. The Aramaic is nothing more than a watered down version of the Hebrew. It derives from the Hebrew. Okay, but just going to show that the angels, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, his only begotten Son Yahushai, they speak Hebrew. Okay, they speak Hebrew. So, that's the language that we're going back to. Okay, the whole earth is going back to that language. All right. So once again, this lesson was inspired by hearing the confusion of these two Japhites talking, and it just sounded like nails on a chalkboard, man. It just another reason to hasten the Lord's returning, man. So everything can just be in order, man. All right, and even the whole, if the whole world was speaking Hebrew, the vibration would be different. If you really think about it, the vibration of the earth would be a lot more calm if everybody spoke Hebrew. Things would be more direct. You know, so on and so forth, man. Brothers know what I'm getting at, but I brought this out. This was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.